Welcome to the Retrospective Podcast, episode number 5. Today
Oh,
I'm joined,
5.
Yes, today I'm joined by Aaron.
Hi, how are we all doing? Sorry, I'm real nervous. It's just live, live television. I'm just.
Yes, we're going completely live. Anyone can come in and watch this.
That's crazy, isn't it? What a world. Hi.
That's not true at all. I'm going to edit this afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to be talking video game news today, as we always do on the podcasts. Should we dive straight in with the big news story of today?
What, the story of Billy Mitchell and Twin Galaxies?
Yes.
When it comes to the Twin Galaxies situation, what we really have here is we have the King of Kong documentary, really, is what this started everything. It's why we all know about it.
Yeah.
But Billy Mitchell being the dickhead king of video games, Steve Wiebe, his rival, trying to get there. And then, I feel like what's probably happened here is that, basically what's happened is that someone has finally looked into Billy Mitchell's recordings that he sent in of his 1,000,000-point run through. And he's been found out that it's been discovered he was using emulation software and that it wasn't a proper arcade machine run. So he's now been disqualified. And because of, I think he's cheating, Twin Galaxies are just like, right, that's it. Fucking Billy Mitchell, you cheating bastard. Everything's removed. Everything's gone.
Yeah.
He's banned from everything and proper massive extreme, he's fucking gone.
Yeah.
And it's wow, what a downfall.
So just to backtrack a bit, we did a video not long ago about the King of Kong documentary. So that gives a bit of background into this specific tape, actually, that they did an investigation into that specific tape. I think.
Yeah, it is
the King of Kong documentary.
The really suspicious tape.
Yes, the very suspicious tape. And basically that has been found to not be credible, which is, it's great news, I think, in terms of just that whole Twin Galaxies scene. Nice to see that after all these years, something's been done about it, really, I guess.
Steve Wiebe's been totally vindicated. The conspiracy was entirely legit. Brian Koo, the fucking little gimp, he can fuck it. He can fuck right off because he was a Billy Mitchell absolute zealot.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the people involved in Twin Galaxies and how Billy Mitchell was protected, it's all absolutely crazy in the documentary. But, you could see on that tape that there's loads of weird shit going on. They're all just like, oh, that's totally fine, totally normal. It's what? And it's but Billy Mitchell's statement, have you read his statement that he's saying
yes, I have.
We're going to go through all this stuff and prove it wrong and stuff, and it's what could he possibly do?
So there's a short video where Billy Mitchell is basically lots of words are coming out of his mouth, but he's actually saying nothing really. He's trying to make out as if the new Twin Galaxies team are kind of sensationalizing all this stuff and trying to get a story out of nothing, and then promises that he will provide evidence that he was legitimate. So we'll look forward to that one, shall we, Billy?
Can't wait for that evidence because Billy really needs to prove. He really needs to bring some big evidence because clearly some guy's done loads of shit. He wouldn't just be making this up, would he? Somebody has done something to actually, apparently months-long investigation to be this is absolutely emulation software. So I don't know what Billy can do to prove otherwise.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, really great to see the downfall of Billy Mitchell. Couldn't be happier. The King of Kong 2, I say bring it on.
Definitely, yeah. And I think finally the best thing to come out of this is that Steve Wiebe is, of course, now officially recognised as the first person to break 1,000,000 points in Donkey Kong, so.
which we all knew he was. So really, it's one for the good guys, isn't it? It's a victory for the good guys, and all props to Steve Wiebe for really igniting that whole Donkey Kong community, and bringing, I think, really shining a light on retro gaming in general, and that whole scene.
Next news story is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. And it happened quite a while ago now because we hadn't had a chance to talk about it. But Donald Trump has been talking bollocks about video games. What a joke of a man.
What's he been saying now?
He basically said people have been talking to him and saying, that some of these video games might be affecting the minds of children. Because he doesn't actually research these things himself. He just like people talk to him about things, apparently. Possibly the funniest thing he said, which was, and I'm repeating this like as he said it.
Yeah.
I'm told that some of these things are quite violent, and perhaps there should be a rating system in place.
Perhaps there should be. I'd agree with that. Would you agree with it? Some games are more violent than others.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have a kid playing Grand Theft Auto and then a kid playing Mario. Something needs to be done, Jake. And I can't believe you don't disagree. I can't believe you would disagree with this.
Yeah, well, perhaps maybe if you want to play Grand Theft Auto, you should be a certain age, and maybe there should be a little icon on the box that says.
I think there should be the video game certification. I think there should be a universal video game certification system of which you can't buy the game unless you're a certain age. But also for certain games like Grand Theft Auto, I feel like there should be cinematic, like, you know, there should be actual verifications that look like cinematic ones. Do you know, like on a movie, there's like a little 18s icon in the bottom corner. Do you get what I'm sort of saying?
Yeah.
I think on like the box for Grand Theft Auto, there should be something like that. It should be for 18s only. Donald's completely right. 100%. I completely agree with him. I can't believe I agree with Donald Trump on something, but he's totally right. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, they already have them. Oh, Donald. Oh, what a fucking moron you look.
Yeah, pretty much.
What? It's just fucking... Yeah, but, I mean, this just leads me into a similar situation, which is the whole Zuckerberg...
yeah, I don't quite understand what's been going on with this. Can you explain a bit about that? Because...
Well, yeah, I can to a point. I can't go too much into it. Cambridge Analytica, basically.
I thought they
like
were just
an evil right wing.
I thought they didn't exist. I thought that was like a Facebook meme that was just going around. Cambridge Analytics.
That's really, really stupid of you. If you're being serious, that's really, really stupid. Like, no, honestly stupid, Jake. Yes, it's like a real company. And they basically do like, well, they say they have like psychographic profile and all that sort of shit. But basically, they have certain profiling techniques and they stole basically illegally like loads of data from Facebook, like loads and loads of data. They sold it to this and it's like and it's been funded by this really right-wing guy, Robert Mercer, who's like, along with Trump and several of the other politicians who are now very high up within the White House, were all sort of really on the fringe of US politics and not really massively, you know, like Republican, like high up in the Republican Party, but not that high up, and, you know, not really massively well thought of, because they just thought these guys are just fucking dickheads, really, like, you know, pretty hardline right wingers. And then the Cambridge Analytica comes around, and then this whole sort of, and with data from Facebook, helps to sort of deliver the misinformation that sort of, like, you know, the like really powerful videos that are like, Corbyn's a fucking commie terrorist bastard. How could you be a patriot, vote Theresa May? Yeah. You know, but like but knowing that these sort of messages will work on these sort of people, because this is the sort of stuff that they like. Okay, you know, so creating this social media echo chamber. Yeah, really, really massively highly targeted. Yeah. But using information that was obtained like not legally, really. So Facebook's been caught under a lot of stress from it, because they're sort of like, on one hand, they haven't massively condemned the actions of Cambridge Analytica. On the other hand, they haven't properly defended themselves. So that's that whole situation. And it all culminated with Mark Zuckerberg having to go before like a grand jury or something. And basically, you'd think, fuck me, they're going to give him some right shit over Cambridge Analytica. And instead, what seems to happen is they're also like, so, Mr. Zuckerberg, you know, Facebook, you said when you originally started Facebook that Facebook would always be free. Is that true, Mr. Zuckerberg? And he's like, yes, Facebook will always be free. And there will always be a version of Facebook that's free. And the guy's like, well, then how are you making money? How are you keeping that roof over your head, Mr. Zuckerberg? And he's like, we've got ads.
Yeah, the video is hilarious. I suggest everyone watch.
It's just like, but they're just constantly asking him questions. It's just like, what? What are you even asking me? It's so stupid.
I love the one about WhatsApp where it's like, if I'm on WhatsApp, Facebook
about Black Panther.
If I'm talking about Black Panther on WhatsApp, will Facebook know? Will Facebook know I've been talking about Black Panther?
Well, exactly. And this whole Trump situation sounds very much to me like it's just more old people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
So
trying to get involved in things that they don't properly understand.
What's all come of this is that Donald Trump actually formed a meeting with some of the sort of, well, what they
the Wiseman's Committee.
Yeah, like higher ups in the video game industry, apparently. They didn't. Yeah. Some people didn't actually, say that they were gonna go. Like some people kept it quiet, kind of thing. I think.
I can imagine.
But
why? Because Donald Trump's so universally well liked.
Well, apparently,
if you were invited to Donald Trump's party, why wouldn't you go? I don't understand.
Apparently, some video game higher ups were there anyway. So. Yeah, apparently what actually happened when they got there was Donald Trump showed a video which is publicly available. You can see part of the video online. And it's just kind of a montage of like really violent scenes from video games.
Yeah.
And apparently
sounds fucking kick-ass.
Yeah, it was pretty badass video, to be honest. But he showed this video and apparently what he said was, "This is very violent, isn't it?" That's how like he started off the conversation by showing this video and going, "This is violent, isn't it?" So he was obviously waiting for someone to tell him whether it was violent or not.
Yes, it is violent. It is. I'm not alone here, am I? Yeah.
But yeah, as to whether that leads on to a more important conversation that he took on board, as to whether that affects people's minds or not, I don't know.
Well, as I've always said, like. I mean, you can like life will always imitate art more often than art imitates life. But video games are just like anything, aren't they? Like it's just the same as anything else. Like,
yeah,
just a movie. Just if it wasn't a video game, it'd be a movie. If it wasn't a movie, it'd be a comic book. If it wasn't a comic book, it'd just be some painting. Like how much shit censorship can only ever go so far.
Next up, we have a bit of a weird one. I don't know if you've heard about the game Kingdom Come Deliverance, Aaron.
No, I've not really heard of it.
It's a new game that's come out that is, it's getting rave reviews from fans, but not so much from critics because, as some of you might know, a lot of critic websites, like Polygon, Kotaku, and all that, have kind of a political agenda as of late. And this game set out to be a historically accurate representation of a specific part of Europe. And then these articles are kind of coming out saying, "Oh, why is there no black people in this game?" Similar to the Witcher series, doesn't have any black people in it because it's, kind of Polish folklore and stuff like that. But anyway, they've been kind of attacking I think the director of the game is called Daniel Vavra. And there's a recent article come out on Polygon, which basically is saying that the game isn't delivering on their Kickstarter goals, saying that there's going to be some free DLC coming. And then Daniel Vavra just responded to this and said, I don't know what you're talking about. The DLC is definitely coming and it's still free. So Polygon are kind of trying to bash this game so much that they've taken to literally making shit up to try and bash this game. But moving back a bit, what do you think about this whole idea of Kingdom Come Deliverance being sort of attacked for not including black people in a game that's meant to be historically accurate?
I think, for me personally, I feel like they're only hurting themselves. I think if you're going to make a game, if you're going to open yourself, like, black people play video games, like, it's as simple as that. They're a massive audience of video games. To not include black people in a video game, or black characters, or characters of black characters who are black, if human, is just sort of stupid, really. Like, if in my mind, not to include them. And I think you can go like, oh, well, it was being historically accurate, like The Witcher, it's based off of Polish folklore and stuff like this. It's like, well, I mean, ultimately, it's like, isn't it a fantasy? Like, you're just making shit up, right? Like, you can make up black people being there, sort of thing. Is a point I would sort of make. So, like, when it comes to The Witcher,
What
it comes
if
to
it was
Witcher
like a
more,
historical film though, like not like
well,
say
no,
if it
well,
was
exactly, of course. So,
if it
like, for
was
example,
Nazi Germany and there were
if it
some
was like,
black people in the Nazi
yeah,
in the
in the Nazi Party, yeah, it'd be
yeah.
bizarre, wouldn't it? It'd be incredibly bizarre. And I mean, obviously, there are certain examples. I think, for me personally, it just sounds a bit ludicrous that it would be getting such like shit for like when it's like if it's like a war game or something. Like, I don't understand why it would sort of
It's
be
like a
criticized so much.
medieval sort of war combat sort of game. Similar to Skyrim,
I mean,
but a
it's
more
just
realistic setting, basically.
I'm still of the opinion that there should be more black characters in video games. There should be. So I'm never going to be like they're entirely in the right. They can make loads of whiteies, love white game. Make it white, make the game white. To be true to the source, make it white. But at the same time, like I think there's a lot of good stuff happening in all sorts of different areas of media, and this problem. I think drawing attention to it is one thing. Like, it sounds like this Polygon thing might have just gone too far and just chatting some right shit with it. But it's like, I mean, at the end of the day,
I think maybe what he's trying to say is like maybe they should focus on praising people that do things right rather than bashing things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's not like black people are going to get the game home and be like, what's going on? There's no black people in this. I've been missold this. Like, I'm outraged here.
Yeah.
Like, they're either going to buy it or they ain't. And then it's like, well, ultimately the market's going to always vote. If it made money to be racist right now, well, people would be racist, and there are, and I make light of that slightly, but there are obviously aspects of certainly world politics where it does pay to be racist or at least have a racial agenda. But I think certainly within video games, I don't think that's going to necessarily be the case.
The next news story, if you can call it that, is actually a rumor that a lot of people are posting about on YouTube. And I thought, well, it's one of those rumors that kind of comes around this time, and it's never really right the first time it comes up.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd just do an experiment and try and answer this rumor using just one word. And it is PS5 in 2018. Do you reckon? No.
No way.
Okay, let's move on. Spyro the Dragon's getting a remaster.
Oh yeah, this looks great. Apparently, that Crash Bandicoot one was really good.
Yeah, Spyro looks great as well. I haven't played the Crash one, unfortunately, but Spyro 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. So, and Spyro.
Yeah, I mean, I said this about Crash Bandicoot. I was speaking to someone about this, and Crash Bandicoot 2 is the best by a mile. I think it's so good. Crash 2 is the best Crash. So it doesn't shock me that Spyro 2 is the best.
I prefer
Crash 3.
Yeah.
When did you most recently play it?
Not too long ago, but the thing about Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3 is I've played them, hundreds and hundreds of times. So I do know the games in and out. Crash Bandicoot 2, Crash Bandicoot 2 is amazing. I'm not saying it's bad in any way. But there are just
to quickly rubbish you here because you've pissed me off there. Crash 3, right? Crash 2 introduces wonderful, it completely improves on Crash 1. It introduces the whole slide dynamic, the slide into the jump, the belly flop, introduces loads of cool new dynamics, and the game is built around them all really, really well. So you got the hardened boxes with the flop and the shit like that, right? Crash Bandicoot 3 introduces too much shit. So there are aspects of the game that are worsened because of it. So Crash 2, you might have like a gem, like a death run gem on Crash Bandicoot 1. Getting all the gems is as hard at the beginning of the game as it is at the end of the game. It never gets any easier or anything like that. Like, you can either do the death run when you can do it or you can't. You might want to stock up on lives maybe if you're conscious of that. But you either can do it or you can't. Whereas in Crash Bandicoot 3, once you get the fruit bazooka, it's very easy to get like box gems of which you have to smash all the boxes.
Yeah.
Once you get the speed shoes, it's very easy to evade enemies a lot quicker and get through areas a lot quicker to get to like death run platforms. The game becomes worse the more stuff that you get. Actually, the more stuff the RPG elements it actually introduces actually cheapen various aspects of the game. So the game is not perfectly built around all those new elements. There isn't bits in the previous levels where the fruit bazooka, you can then use it. There are a couple, but very, very few. And the game is mostly sort of not really built for something like that. It's almost like they had the idea quite late on in its development and then built a couple of sort of puzzles around it, but didn't think about how much it would actually impact on all the other ones. So some of the box ones that might be quite hard to get are actually a lot easier later on. And that really sort of actually, I think that is quite, not game breaking as such. Crash Bandicoot 3, but it is poor. And Crash Bandicoot 3 also has tons of gimmick levels. So it has loads of bike levels, jet ski levels, flying levels, like where the gameplay dynamics are completely different. Crash 2 has.
I enjoy those.
Yeah, they're quite fun. Yeah, I'm not saying that they're absolutely garbage and I hate them, but like what they do well, I don't think is necessary. Like they are fun, yeah, but I suppose it's what you want. It's whether you want a great platformer or you want some tacky bullshit, really, Jake. So, I mean, that's if you like Crash 3, then fair enough. But
I definitely agree with you, especially in terms of the fruit bazooka. It does affect the earlier levels. However, Crash Bandicoot 3 has quite a few hidden levels that are actually really difficult to get. Just as the earlier games had difficult levels and hidden.
That's
stuff.
True to a point, actually. Crash 3 has some really hidden levels that I think are almost too hidden. Like you could never ever stumble upon that. Whereas like Crash 2 has some really good ones. Well, Crash 2, in fairness, does have like a wall that you can walk, like a clip wall that you can walk through. But it's down like a corridor, so like you go down one corridor and it looks like you come to a dead end, but you can actually keep going. And I think that's quite cool. Like you can accidentally stumble upon stuff in Crash 2, and I did accidentally stumble on stuff when I was playing it. But in Crash 3, like when you have to crash into that fucking alien, when you're doing the bike race and you have to crash into that sign to get to that level, that's like, why would you ever crash into that? Like it's just that's just fucking mental. And there's also one where you have to like you're doing like the dinosaur thing and like you have to get grabbed by a certain dinosaur. That's like, unless you were unlucky and got killed there, like you would just never ever find that. Whereas like Crash 2 has that like that nitro staircase that you're trying to avoid, but then the nitros aren't moving, so you can sort of tell it's fake. And like lots of clever shit like that. But I suppose those are just my thoughts on it anyway. Because we get back to Spyro. My personal feelings were that it was a similar progression. So Spyro 1, they did really, really well. Spyro 2, then they improved on everything from Spyro 1. Then on Spyro 3, they tried to introduce lots of other new stuff, and it all didn't quite work as well. So like you're playing as all the Spyro's friends, I think.
Yeah,
there's like little bonus games.
I hate Spyro 3. I think it's really bad. A lot of people have fond memories of it. But I just think as soon as you try one of those levels where you're playing as Spyro's mate, like as one of Spyro's mates, the controls just feel so clunky, and I think that game
not really well done, is it?
Yeah, it's aged a lot worse than the other games.
Maybe the remake might help it.
Possibly so, yeah.
Especially when it comes to controls.
Shenmue.
Looking forward to it though.
Yeah.
I've never played Shenmue, mate. Never played them.
Yeah.
People say they're great. I remember watching somebody play it once, and I thought it looked kind of cool back in the day. Cause it's sort of like you're doing everything, and I remember that's what I sort of wanted from a game. But then I discovered point and clicks that I always thought were a lot better, and maybe Shenmue would be a bit too restrictive for me. I don't know. It looks like
it's funny you should mention point and clicks actually, because I've played a bit of Shenmue 1, and it actually is a lot like point and clicks, but you are obviously controlling a character a bit like how Broken Sword Sleeping Dragon did it when it went to all the three.
Well, Heavy Rain, I suppose Heavy Rain would be like the closest thing to it.
Yeah. It is pretty much like a point and click adventure, with a few added sort of game mechanics here and there. And in terms of like the dialogue options and all the depth of the dialogue, all the different characters you can speak to. It is that basically. Very in depth. sort of story and dialogue system. So
yeah.
And yeah,
sounds cool. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably sounds like it's right up my street, really. But I've never played it.
Yeah, you should definitely get the remasters then.
I might have to do, mate.
The thing is about Shenmue is I think everyone's going to have high expectations because at the time, the original Shenmue was like the biggest budget of any video game ever up until that point. And when you have those high expectations that I know all the fans are going to have, it's a tricky situation, isn't it? Basically, if they're going to be making a new one and it doesn't.
Well, yeah, mate. It's like if they made Half-Life 3. God, I wish that would happen.
Yeah, it'd be the same. Yeah, I think the best way to make Half-Life 3 would be to do it incredibly similar to Half-Life 2, like so that.
Yeah, I think the best way to do it. I think they just do it. Just make it. That's what I would do.
All the good things about Half-Life 2 are still there.
Yeah.
But then it's just
still
more.
Better than anything.
Yeah, but then it's just more. So I think that's how they should do Shenmue 3 as well. Just more.
Just make more.
Yeah. There's also a game called Disgaea that's been remastered, which is really bizarre because there's been like 5 Disgaea games now, or 6.
All right.
And basically these games are giant RPGs that take like hundreds and hundreds of hours to finish. And they kind of have a 2D art style. And that's the thing about remastering games, I think, is like people keep calling for remaster of Chrono Trigger. And I just think Chrono Trigger's a 2D game. Why would you want to remaster that?
In terms of the spatial, I think what people want from a remaster is something that is just impossible. It can't happen. And I'm not even kidding. Like, it can't happen. Like, a reskin of Final Fantasy VII is sort of what people want. But what do they want voice acting? Do they want everything to be voiced? Because that's going to require a massive, that's a massive undertaking to voice that. Do they want, like, I just don't know. Do they want the exact same game again? Because if that's what you want, just go and play Final Fantasy VII. Do they just want to play the game again? Like, I think what they're doing with that whole, like, it looks a bit like Kingdom Hearts, that thing. I don't know whether it'll ever come out of that Final Fantasy VII.
Well, apparently it is going to come out, yeah.
Is that coming? Well, the Final Fantasy VII episode thing.
It's going to be in,
is the storyline that great? Like, do people, like, what? I just think, when you look at Chrono Trigger or something like that, the game's just right there. Just go play it.
Like, that's what I think about Chrono Trigger. It's like perfect.
It's great, it's almost as if like they just. I think what people want from a remaster is for them to go to like new people who never played it. Just go like, hey, this game's the best. Go play it. Yeah, you were right. It is the best. I mean, and if that's all that people want, that's what I do with this podcast. That's what we do with this. Hey, you didn't know about this game? It's the best. Go play it. But I feel like with remasters, that's just people actually catering to that bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, instead of us just ranting, like, people are actually like, oh yeah, make a remaster. But it's like, what do you want from it? Like, I put like a better graphics really going to make it that much better? Like, I don't understand like how. Well, it makes no sense to me.
You were just about to say something, but then you stopped. I think it was about the space, like spatial.
Oh, sorry, yeah. When it comes to like Chrono Trigger, that's pure, yeah. So it looked very weird in a 3D environment.
In a game like Spyro or Crash, it's already a 3D game.
Yeah,
and it has polygons and textures. It's like you just up those polygons and up those textures, and you can remaster, and it's the same game. It's just as good as it was, but it's got better.
You just reskin it, yeah.
Whereas a game like Chrono Trigger, it's almost like, some people prefer 2D sprite graphics. Some people like that as an artistic choice. So if you're going to do it in 3D, it's going to have to be like a different game entirely, isn't it? Basically?
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like what's happening with Final Fantasy VII anyway. So
yeah, exactly. It really is a completely different game, isn't it? I think that's just. I suppose that's just my opinion on remasters. Like with Chrono Trigger, as you say, so I think like you imagine the fights and the way that all the battle system worked, and in a 3D environment, I just don't think it'd work at all. Like in terms of like how certain moves hit over certain spaces and stuff like that. I just think it'd be really, really clunky and like wouldn't be so easy to get it wrong. Like,
yeah, definitely. Especially now it's Square Enix and not Squaresoft.
Well, yeah, exactly. A company that's been on the downhill several fucking years now.
Yeah. The next story I know you'll have strong opinions about. A game called Agony, which is a really nice looking survival horror game, which is set in hell. It's just been announced that the game is going to be censored on consoles to avoid the adults only rating. And basically, if you're playing on PC, you'll be able to download a patch easily and just patch it and it'll be uncensored. But on consoles, that won't be a thing that you can do, unfortunately. They haven't announced officially what has actually been censored from the game, but people have been speculating that it's some sort of sexual content, basically. Like where you can see some demons.
It'll be a hard dick.
See some demons having sex or something.
Demon cook is what it'll be, 100%.
And it brings me back to, Pyramid Head, classic scene in one of the best games ever. Pyramid Head.
Didn't affect me as a child.
Raping a mannequin.
Didn't fuck me up.
No, that didn't get an adults only.
Me
up. So what do you think, Aaron? Do you think sexual content we should take a worse view on sexual content in games, say, to violence? And I don't think it's my place. I don't think it's my place to say that a hard dick is worth censoring more than someone getting beheaded or someone getting badly stabbed, or the idea of you playing as a military and you have to go and kill people in a military simulator, as Call of Duty is. It's not my place to say that like hard demon fucking is so much worse than any of that. Like, I suppose that's realistically that's for the government and the lawmakers and the people whose moral compasses are so unquestionable that those are the people in the right places to make those sort of decisions. Not me. I'm just a fucked up Silent Hill 2 fan who enjoyed Pyramid Head raping a mannequin. Really, really enjoyed it. Perversely, I might add. You wish you could be in that closet.
Yes, I wish I was in the closet shooting at Pyramid Head afterwards. The whole thing's a sexual metaphor. But I think from a game perspective, like if they want to sell the game, then they have to fucking meet censors. Like otherwise, it's gonna be like, well, your game is an adult rating. Like I'm not gonna rate it. It's basically a porno, is what they're gonna have to try and say. Like where it has ratings that are completely separate from any other film or any other thing. So if they want to sell the game, they have to meet the censor's approval. It's as simple as that. The censor isn't saying this game absolutely can't come out. It's just saying this game can't come out within this context, I suppose. But.
Well, what I feel about it is that I feel like if you're going to have a patch that can easily be downloaded through Steam that will uncensor the game, like, why not just have that on consoles? We haven't had anything like that on consoles.
I suppose it's the legal system. I suppose it's the legal situation where it's like the patch could be open source, but they're not officially sort of connected to it. Whereas with consoles, it might be more of an official thing and like change the hardware. I won't know any of the legalities of it, Jake, but I'm sure it'll be something like that.
I think in the end, it comes down to whether Sony and Microsoft want it, and Sony never wants these kinds of things. I don't know. I'm not sure about Microsoft, but like Sony has said no to mods, for Skyrim and Fallout 4 on PlayStation. They just don't seem to want any sort of third party tampering, I guess. You could see it as tampering, but it's not really. It's just
third party should fuck off. That's the end of it, really, isn't it?
But yeah, I think it is unfair. I think it is unfair on console owners to have to, cut something out of their game experience.
It's always been the case, hasn't it? Like PlayStation, you never be able to mod out on a PlayStation, will you? So it's like just because the technology is now sort of there.
Yeah, now that's
possible.
Of
course. I mean, now it's possible, but at the same time, like console gamers have always known what they're getting themselves into, but they're not buying a PC ultimately. So
Yeah.
I suppose that's my thoughts on it.
Okay. Right. Well, thank you very much for watching. It's goodbye from me, Jake.
And it's goodbye from me. Sayonara.
Your name is not Sayonara, though. It's Aaron.
Good. No, they know my name.
And you're why these people come to the channel anyway. So you want
Well,
to
that's my milkshake brings the boys to your heart, so to speak.
Okay. Once again, I'm going to hit stop broadcast.
Sayonara.
And hope to hell that this has all been recorded.